So if you don't know by now, wholesaling is the process in finding motivated sellers, getting them under contract, and instead of buying the property, you're going to take your contract and assign it to somebody else so they take your place in the contract, and then you could charge them a fee for doing so. That's the practice of wholesaling. So the first popular word that's used is ARV, which stands for after repair or after rehab value. So with after repair, after rehab value, it pretty much means a house that has been renovated. We're not talking about houses in as-is condition where the carpet needs replaced or meticulously maintained, or a lived-in house. You're looking for homes that have been fully rehabbed. So if you are looking up comps or something called comparables, you're going to look for houses, and in the description it's going to say renovated or rehabbed, brand new kitchen cabinets, granite countertops, updated electrical furnace, all those kind of things. So that is what after repair value means. It pretty much means a renovated house. The second term is MAYO, or maximum allowable offer. You're going to hear people say the MAYO formula. The MAYO formula pretty much is a way for an investor or a wholesaler to run their numbers. So the simple formula is ARV times industry standard is 70% minus rehab costs equals your cash offer. And that's all the MAYO formula is, maximum allowable offer. Now, the reason why I say industry standard is 70% is because if you're in a really, really desirable area and houses are getting sold left and right, they're being sold before they're even listed, and people are really just clawing at each other to get these houses. It would be MAYO times maybe 75%, maybe 80% minus the rehab costs. So industry standard, again, ARV times 70% minus the renovation costs. Renovation costs, in my market, you'll have to understand in your market by networking with other investors and talking to other contractors and things like that. One way that we calculate is we do by square footage. So if a house is 1,000 square feet, to renovate a house usually runs about $30 a square foot. Obviously, if it needs a new roof, you're gonna have to do like a la carte and add money for a new roof or whatever. But let's say the 1,000 square foot house times $30 a square foot, that's $30,000. So if it's in a house that's in decent condition, like it just needs minor cosmetic, like it already has a nice kitchen, you just have to replace the countertops, you just have to paint it and maybe put in new flooring, that could be $20 a square foot. This is something that, I don't know your market. So if you're in a different market besides Michigan, you'll have to research and network with other investors and contractors and just educate yourself on what a renovation cost would typically run. Plus, another thing with the MAYO formula, you have to understand that this is for a person that is buying the house. Because you're a wholesaler and you have to assign it, you actually have to do the MAYO formula, which is the ARV, or after repair value, times 70%, or whatever the market is, minus renovation costs, minus your assignment, equals the cash offer that you would give to the owner. Mostly because the assignment fee, that's another cost that the buyer is going to incur on the purchase. Another thing to think about too is that if you're in an area where the houses really aren't flying off the shelf, it's kind of like there are parts of Detroit where honestly it's a really sketchy area. People are buying, but it's like the houses are getting broken into all the time and it's a lot more risk. Well, that would be MAYO times 65% or 60% or 50%. So you want to go lower if it's a worse area, you want to go higher if it's a more desirable area. Another term that I forgot, I actually said it in the beginning of the video, is driving for dollars. So what is driving for dollars? It's just a simple act of getting in your car, going to a neighborhood by you, and just driving it around and looking for houses that need a lot of repair. Like the roof is messed up, the grass is overgrown. One that I like is the mailbox is overflowing with mail. That means it's been vacant for a while and the mailman keeps just stuffing the mail in the box, which means it's a vacant house. Hypothetically. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So you just get in your car, drive around, and you look for the houses, and then you get the houses, and then you skip trace them to get the phone number to contact the owner to potentially make an offer on the house. So side note is the app that I use is called Deal Machine. I am not sponsored by Deal Machine. I do have an affiliate link below. So if you guys want to get into driving for dollars, Deal Machine is like the best app. I use it like every day, and I drive around. And to be honest, it's actually my best way to get leads is finding ugly houses, because it's right there in front of you, and a lot of the times they're not on a lot of these lists that people are pulling. Skip tracing. What is skip tracing? Skip tracing is the act of finding the person's phone number and mailing address and email. So skip tracing started actually from landlords that dealt with people that just left the property, and the landlord would have to find that tenant to just try and get rent or pay the bills or do whatever, or take them to court. So all you got to do is go to a skip tracing company. The skip tracing company that I like to use is Batch Leads. Again, I do have an affiliate link, so if you guys like it, a lot of people use Batch Leads. Usually every lead that you skip trace is about, I think Batch Leads is like 12 cents or 14 cents. But the beautiful thing is that you get up to 4 to 5 phone numbers, and you get their email addresses and their mailing address too. So you could send them direct mail, you could text them, you could call them, and then you could also email them. That's 4 ways to try and get in touch with someone. Next word is acquisition and disposition. So you have to remember that you are a wholesaler. So if you go into a store, like let's say Best Buy, and you look at the store and you look at their shelves, they have inventory, they have computers, they have video games, they have TVs, that's their inventory. So their job as a store is to get that inventory, market to people, and then get rid of the inventory. So they have someone that is trying to acquire all of these TVs and these computers, and then they're trying to dispose of the inventory once they get it to make their profit. So if you think of it like that way, acquisitions is the act of acquiring contracts. So contracts are your inventory. The contract is how you make your money. So you're on acquisitions. That's usually sales. So you're talking to the homeowner, you're saying, hey, how much you want for the house? We can offer you 50 grand. And then they say yes. And then you sign it, and they sign a purchase agreement. You now have a contract, which is your inventory that you can dispose of, which is dispositions. So the act of dispositions is reaching out to cash buyers and people that will buy the property, investors that will buy the property and pay your assignment fee. That leads into the next term, which is assignment. So assignment means it's a fee that you charge the buyer to take your place over in the contract. So if you have a contract and the contract is assignable because it just says, hey, I could assign this contract, it's the act of saying, hey, here's my contract, I'm going to hand it over to you. You now take my place in the contract. So all the terms in the contract they have to abide by, which means that purchase price, they have to pay all cash, they have to close in a certain date, whatever. All of those terms now fall on the assignee. You're the assignor and they are the assignee, and that's what the assignment fee is. Another term is cap rate. So cap rate applies to tenant occupied or cash flowing rentals, which means the cap rate is what does the investor get a return on their money, or ROI, which is return on investment. What's the return on their money if they were to purchase this property? So if there was a property that was rented at $800 and you are trying to wholesale it for $80,000, you have to use the formula to find out what the cap rate is going to be. Now, the cap rate is different for every market. It's different for every house. It's different for every buyer. I'm going to use our market, ideally like the Metro Detroit market. So if you were like in the suburb areas, like blue collar areas, the ROI over in this area is 12 to 15%. So the way that makes a difference, because if you have a property and the landlord says, yeah, somebody's renting it for $500, we want to sell it for $100,000. Well, that doesn't really, the cap rate's going to be super low. The return on investment is going to be super low. Unless it's like a really, really good area, most of the time that's too low. So the reason why I'm saying that is because some of these properties that you get on the wholesale front, they're not going to be rehabs. They're actually going to be tenant occupied properties where A flipper is not going to be your best buyer. It's actually going to be somebody that wants to buy rental properties and wants cash flow, but they just want to say, hey, if I put down $1, what's the return I get on the dollar? And, you know, I don't have a whiteboard in front of me, but pretty much the ROI formula is what is your net annual profit divided by your all-in purchase price. So remember that your rent, let's say it's $1,000, that's your gross rent, which means that's the rent that you get every month. But you have to pay expenses every month yourself. So the tenant pays you $1,000, but you as a homeowner or as an investor still have to pay taxes. You still have to pay insurance. It depends if the tenant usually pays the water, so it's usually not the water. If it's a multifamily, maybe you have to pay the water because it's all on one water bill. But at the end of the day, that $1,000 is your gross. Let's just say the taxes are $100. That's $900. Your insurance is $50. That's $850. Let's say you have a property management company. They charge 10% of the $1,000. That's $100. So now you're left with $750. So your gross rent is $1,000, but after you take out your expenses, your net rent is $750. And then you take $750 and you multiply it by 12 months because there's 12 months in a year, and that's your net annual income. And then you take that and divide it by your purchase price, which is, you know, let's say it's $50,000. So you take the net annual of $750 times 12. I don't have a calculator in front of me. Actually, do I? Wait a second. I actually think I do. I do. I just dropped it. Hold on. It's getting dark now too, so I'm gonna have to cut the video short. So let's say, oh, it's so dark, the button doesn't even work. See, I try and be impromptu and this is what I get. Oh man. Nope, it doesn't work. All right, so I'll have to do that for another video. I actually have a video where I talk about, you know, ROIs and cap rates and how to analyze rental properties. So I'll put a link in the description below, but that is cap rate. Okay guys, I'm cutting this video short. Did as much as I could. This is my last couple of terms, but it's getting dark out, and wrapping up my day today. But joint venture, also known as a JV. Joint venture means that you are partnering up with another wholesaler to help you complete a deal. Now you do joint ventures because if you're doing acquisitions, your job is to go out and find houses and find sellers. You're driving for dollars. You're trying to get houses under contract. But a lot of the times you're so focused on acquisitions, you don't focus on your cash buyers. Or if you're starting out, you might have maybe 1 or 2 cash buyers, or not a lot. So what happens if you get a house under contract, but you can't find a buyer, and you know, you only have a certain number of days to find a buyer or to close on the property? Well, you have to reach out to another wholesaler like myself. I love joint ventures, by the way, love doing joint ventures. You reach out to another wholesaler and you say, hey, here's the property I have. I need help finding a buyer. And then I say, well, I have cash buyers. Send me the deal. And if I send it out to my buyers and somebody buys it, then we do a joint venture. Now, the structure of a joint venture is different every time. It could be 50-50. It could be add your fees on top. It could be, look, I only want $3,000. Or $2,000 or $1,000, or just toss me whatever you can. It really just depends on the agreement that you make with the other wholesaler. So there's no cut and dry way to structure a joint venture. And then last terminology I'll give you is transaction coordinating, or TC. So transaction coordinating pretty much is managing the closing all the way to the closing table. So handling all the paperwork, coordinating for the seller to go to the title company and sign, coordinating with the buyer to have all their paperwork sent in and signed, making sure everybody knows what's going on, making sure all the paperwork is sent into this title company properly. That kind of person is someone that's kind of like a project manager when it comes to like paperwork. They're really good at the paperwork. They're really good with follow-up and communication. And as a wholesaler, you're going to be doing that when you first start off. You're going to be doing acquisitions. You're going to be dispositions. You're doing the marketing. You're doing the transaction coordinating. You're going to do every department in your wholesaling company until you can start to scale out. But anyways, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know that there's more terms that I need to start talking about, so I'll just try and make some more videos as more terms and vocabulary pop up in my head. But if you guys like the video, please comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you like these wholesaling videos. Reach out to me on social media. Just, you know, I'm always looking to do joint ventures. I love teaching. You know, I just want to be able to provide content and help to wholesalers because it's done so much for me. So hope you guys like the video, and I'll talk to you soon.